Welcome, one and all, to another episode of the Retro Show. Guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s. Here to join me, as always, is Mr. Al Forte.
I hope everyone's doing well. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are around the world. I hope your world is sunshine and rainbows.
Sunshine and rainbows. It's a beautiful thing. So, we'll wait till this thing populates, because right now we're talking to nobody. But tonight on the show, we're going to be looking at portable tech, and I'll probably repeat this shortly. But I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks. So, well, let me make the announcement when more people are in and stuff, and we'll give it a minute or two till at least one person shows up. Surprised Mitchell's not here already. She's always early.
She is always here.
Yep.
And early, indeed.
Yep. Let's see here. So I've got some things lined up and should be going. Just waiting for, again, everything to populate. But good evening, everyone. Well, we might as well just get cracking on it. So tonight's episode is going to be basically 80s portable and gadget tech of the 70s and 80s.
And there were a lot of gadgets in the 70s.
There were a lot of gadgets in the 70s. And I mean, we'll stretch it a little because, I mean, there's going to be some overlap. I mean, we're not going to go as far as talk about computers because we did that last week or the week before, last time before, but we will mention an occasional technology, like for instance, the VCRs came out in the 70s and 80s, and that was a wonderful technology. I mean, they had some decent portable VCRs in the 70s and 80s, relatively portable. You got a big strap, they hang on it, and it's like a big boom box.
I call it transportable.
Yeah, that would work.
I used to have, and I know this, I guess it's kind of a gadget. I had an SX64. In fact, I still do. Anyway, an SX64 Commodore computer that was a Commodore 64 that was. They even called it transportable. So I've always used the word transportable. It weighed like 28 pounds. Yeah. One of the
things I had growing up in the 70s, I had 2 or 3 of them, and do you remember? I know in the 80s they came out with the little portable Lcd TVs, but in the 70s we had, like, for instance, Panasonic had the TR-001, the IC TV. They advertised it that it fit inside a stocking. Well, the real cool thing about it was a TV set this big. It was black and white, and it was a long, thin
Are you talking about
CRT tube.
Are you talking about the Epson ET10? Is that what you're...
No. The Panasonic TR-001. Panasonic TR-001.
The Epson ET10 or the Epson ELF was the world's first TV with a liquid crystal display that you could carry around.
That's liquid crystal. I'm talking way before that. I'm talking basically it's a tiny picture tube. It was a picture tube. It was a long. The only reason it was this long, you're looking at the 4x4 box. I don't know if you've ever see if you can find it. Pull it up there. It's the Panasonic TR-001. The IC TV, but it could fit inside a pocket. It's here. Let me send you a link so you can be on the same page with me. Here we go in the little chat. Go to that page.
Oh, got it.
You got it. All right. So so it's a little tiny TV. And I had one similar. I didn't have the same exact one, but I had one similar to that. Obviously, I was 5 years old in 1970, so it was a little later in life that I had that one. But that was a great little TV. It's a tube TV, but portable.
Yeah.
not much battery to it. I mean, it's running a tube. But anyway, and of course, 8-tracks were extremely popular throughout the 70s. As I mentioned in the past, I've gotten my let me make sure. Yeah, we are live. I'm just checking because it's a strange night not to have any followers tonight. So we had one thing I forgot to do. Give me 2 seconds. I have to actually go
One,
well, a little more than 2 seconds. I forgot completely to monetize myself because I'm
so I have to just keep my mouth shut then, huh?
no, yeah,
Anything that would demonetize you.
yeah,
No controversial, no
controversial. Yeah,
yeah.
It's family content. Well, I never put that I have family content, but I do. Family friendly.
We are family frenzy. Frenzy. We are family frenzy. Yes,
we are definitely family frenzy. Hang on a second. There we go.
I'll do a little sharing of
and let's see. Okay, boom, and this one as well. Okay, good. Here we go. Sorry, I had to get that in there. All right, so yeah. All right, so let's see here. Go back to this. So we have so one of the beautiful things. Someone's just joined us. One of the beautiful things that aside from that VCR, that tube VCR in the 70s is, 8-track was very, very popular, very, very popular. And I mean, I've talked before about portable 8-track players and stuff, but it's fantastic. And video cassette recorders, Philips brought the video cassette recorder into living rooms in 1972. So that's we're talking the U-matic. Okay, we're talking the U-matic. And I love the U-matic. I've had countless. Well, go back to some of the other shows, and you'll hear me talk about that. I'm not going to repeat it all again, but other little tech from the 70s and 80s. The Kodak Pocket Instamatic, the 110.
Oh yeah, that little slender camera.
Camera, the 110. I mean, that thing was when I first had. See, I had the Instamatic, and I had the Pocket Instamatic. The Instamatic was the regular. Well, it was still small and it was big enough if you had a big pocket. But it would measure probably, I'd say, 2 inches by 2.5 by 4 inches. Okay, it's like the size of a box, But it would fit the cubes on top. But the Pocket Instamatic was that slender one. See, because the Instamatic took, what was it, 26 film? The Instamatic cassettes, those cassettes that were.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I remember 110. I remember the 110.
Right. You don't remember the I think it was 26. I'm pretty sure it was 26. Let me see. Kodak film 26. Okay, let's try Kodak film Instamatic. And cartridge. Yeah, cartridge.
I do know that it was 400 ISO. And because of the film being so small, it was really, really grainy and low light conditions.
Yeah. Here we go. 110 and 126 Instamatic films.
Okay.
110 was 10 millimeter. The Instamatic cartridge, if you've ever had, and I'll never forget. I don't think I could ever forget the smell of ripping open that silver light impermeable envelope and smelling that cartridge, that film for the first time. Any film, whenever you rip open the cartridge and smell those chemicals, it's just a smell that it's a joyous smell for me because I was a kid and I'm taking pictures, and I mean, kids today, and that's anybody under 45. I mean, think about it. We are so used to taking a million pictures with our cameras, and even before then, when we had digital cameras before our phones. Now it's phones. Before it was digital cameras,
right?
But before that, I mean, in my older years, in my 20s and 30s, I'd have my 35 millimeter camera. Oh, those things were expensive. The lenses and
big time. Yeah.
I
still have a Minolta 201 TRS or something like that.
Come to think of it, I got
SLR 201, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I still got a. Which one is this one? Is this a digital? Yeah, this is I got the D5000 here.
Well, mine actually took film.
My iPhone. Right. No, I have another one. I have another. Hang on a second.
That you would take to the Photomat. Remember the Photomat?
Oh yeah. Photomat's a beautiful thing.
Talk about 70's and 80's, man. Or going down to the grocery store and putting the film in the little pouches. And if it was Fuji film, it always come back green, and you have to send it back to have it retoned.
All right. You challenged me.
Yeah. Ooh,
film.
Film, yes. Yeah, with the door that swings out on the back. That's definitely, these digital cameras these days, you slip a little SD card in them and
Canon EOS Rebel S. I can't believe I still have this thing.
Yeah, I actually have one of the first generation EOS Canon Rebels, but digital.
Digital. Yeah.
And that's behind these trees over here.
Those Instamatics were the most fascinating. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go past 15 feet. 10 was perfect.
Right.
Indoors. 10 was perfect, 7 to 10 feet. Anything closer than 7, you'd white everybody out. Anything past 15, everybody's dark. You might see a face.
And you better have it in frame, because if you had to blow it up, forget it. All you see was pixels,
pixels.
Just grain.
Grain. All you'd see is grain, not pixels, but grain.
Grain. I'm sorry. That's why I said grain, because people understand what pixels are.
Yeah,
they don't remember grain.
They don't know about grain. Yeah, it's great. So moving on to the calculator side of things, and I want you to pull out your 45 there for the folks.
Now, my question is, if the 65,
I had the 65 that came out in 74.
Yeah, if the 65 was in 74, when was the 45? Maybe I'm just being a little.
Let me find out. When did the
70s,
HP
maybe
45 come out? 73.
73. So it was
73.
still.
So it's 1 year earlier. Yeah.
This is still technology of the 70s.
It's still the 70s technology. And you said the 35 was the earliest one?
Yeah, I believe the 35 was before it.
The 30, and now no, the 35. Well, the 35 here is 2007, so that's 72. Here it is, 72. So it was the year before. Yeah. Still 70s, still qualifies. But yeah, HP 35, 45. I imagine there was a 55. I had the 65. I remember those two orange buttons so well with that blue button.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Those are great. And and didn't it have a I think it had a pocket protector, but it also had some sort of a instruction manual in the back of it or something. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is all that's left of mine, and it's not even mine. It's somebody else's that is since long passed, and it kind of got willed down to me through another person, but I cherish it as if it were my own.
How many of you guys out there had a Pong or a Super Pong? Because the Pong had one game, and that was Pong.
Yeah. Or electronic tennis, I guess.
Yeah, electronic tennis.
Yeah.
Just the white arrows with the thing going back. Super Pong, which came out shortly after, had a switch on the bottom that had 4 selections, 4 games. One was just the two white paddles. One was 2 double white paddles, one near the front and one near the net, one near it was doubles. The other 2 games were the inverse. You basically had a hole and then 2 holes. And the way you would play that is you would have to get it in the other person's paddle, if you will, So that was a much easier game to play, but anyway, it was a great. I mean, to think,
I remember
that we spent hours playing that game. Hours.
Yes. I remember when I first saw it, they would play it, and I want to say it was on Bozo's Big Top. I want to say it was the Chicago show from Bozo's Big Top Circus or something like that.
It's very possible.
And they actually would connect with or contact. I don't remember if they called them or if they were in the audience, and they would go Pong, and it would move Pong, Pong, and the paddle would move when they would Pong, Pong.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's interesting. Yeah, it's now here's the next one on our list, which well, let me skip the next one. Let me go straight to the Atari 2600, because the Atari 2600 is along the same lines, except it was, well, not much after. It was 2 years. So imagine only 2 years passed by, and all of a sudden Atari comes out with an 8-bit game that was just incredible in the amount of. So I'll share my experiences with Atari for you folks out there. My mom would take me to see. I didn't have an Atari game of my own because, spoiled rich kid, I had an Apple II when I was growing up. So they actually bought me a computer. So I didn't get an Atari. But I had, obviously, with the computer, you can create games, and there were many, I would say many more games, but all my friends had Ataris. They were very popular. Well, it wasn't until later. When the Atari first came out, nobody had them. They were very expensive. And, well, for the,
for that day and age.
For that day and age. And the 2600, they had at Sears and Roebuck, they had multiple TV sets with display with a bunch of Ataris. One was playing the tank game. One was playing the combat. Combat was the tank game. One was doing air sea battle.
Asteroids.
One was doing asteroids,
yes.
And they had one was doing Space Invaders. So they had numerous different games on display. Now, my brother and I, my mom, after she'd pick us up from school, we'd always go to some department store or something, because my mom just loved to window shop. And Sears at the time, see, nowadays Sears, if any exist, are basically, no, I think they're all gone already. But near the end of Sears's heyday, the only thing they had left is a craftsman section, an appliance section, and clothes for women. And well, Sears used to be almost, they had a kitchen department where they had, appliances and vacuum cleaners and all that. I remember the store. I remember walking in the store. To the left was the appliances. To the right was menswear as the entrance we walked in. If we continued straight, that's where that small section where they sold cashews and all those hot cashews and the hot, it's fantastic. And right behind it, they had all the video games. If you turn left and go that direction, you'd go into the car section and the craftsman, the whole craftsman area. But if you continue straight, there was the rest of the store, and it was three quarters of it all dedicated to women's stuff.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Our electronics store our electronics department was upstairs. You had to actually go up to get to it. But
so
I'm sitting here thinking of it.
So my brother and I,
34 Sears stores remaining right now. as of
Wow.
August 16th, 2021.
Wow,
But
incredible.
they'll be closing, I believe.
Yeah. Well, so we go to Sears, my brother and I. My mom is like, see, it's so funny. We had the Atari games all to ourselves back then because two things would happen. Number one is if men would come into the store, they'd go straight to the tool section, they'd window shop or buy a tool and leave. So if they had any kids with them, they'd drag them to the tool section and leave. Most women didn't bring their kids with them, and if they did, it's be like they want to keep an eye on them, and they're next to them while they're dragged through the store. Well, my brother and I would complain an awful lot, so we never got dragged into that. And my mom would say, you're fine, you're old enough. I think we were like 14 and 11, something like that, or 13 and 10. She would say, okay, stay right around here, and then I'll be over there. And we always know where each other is. And we would plant ourselves in front of those Atari games, and we'd be playing Combat or whatever other game constantly. And, I mean, it was 2 or 3 hours a day. And I mean, it's practically every day. My mom would go shopping and we'd be playing games. It was a great time in my life.
The electronics department, babysitting department.
Yes,
at Sears.
that's exactly what they were.
Yeah.
And then I'd browse, and I'd also go over to when I'd go with my dad, it's a different story because my dad, whenever I took trips with my dad, it would always be to Gold Triangle. Okay. There was a store called Gold Triangle, and I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it was right around Dadeland. It was in Dadeland Mall. Now there's a Publix there and stuff. Or a Circuit City, well, whatever there is there. Gold Triangle was kind of like a Jet Army Navy kind of store. If Army Navy, yeah, have you ever been to an Army Navy store?
Oh yes, definitely been to Army Navy.
All right,
store,
so it's like that.
Mhm.
They had camping stuff. They had outdoor stuff. They had a whole section where they had 8mm projectors, and that's where I would plant myself around the Kodak and the film. I was 14, and I was really into the new sound movie cameras. Well, not so new, but 8mm sound and all this. My dad, in and out of the fishing reel department. All he would do is spend in the fishing department, looking at lures and whatever other stuff. He'd always be interested in that and different things and stuff. Me, I'd go there to see the new projectors from Bell and Howell. Oh, wow. But that was Gold Triangle. And I thought about that because in Sears, that was another section that I visited, is the projectors section, when they had cameras and projectors there.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it was always, and so the projector section led me to digital watches because they had the digital watch section. And now
I love digital watches. In fact, mine had, of course, the obligatory calculator on it. Okay.
before your calculator, and as did I, by the way, yes, I am a fellow nerd. As did I have the calculator. Before that, my first digital watch. Do you remember the LED? And I don't know if you could call them LED. It was the old LED. It wasn't light emitting. It was a true light emitting diode. It wasn't the fancy diodes that we have now.
Yeah,
it was.
I remember the one from Seiko.
That's it.
That's
it.
Yeah.
You have it here. You press the button.
Uh-huh.
And I remember there was a guy that used to tell a joke, and he goes, I love these new digital watches. These digital watches, I mean, you're driving along and you need to know the time. These digital watches are great because you raise your arm and you press the button and it lights up the time. You don't have to think about it, which is wonderful because as you're driving a car, you could see the time just as you're driving off the cliff.
Right, exactly.
And that was I think that was
action.
I think that was Real People. There was a joke. No, or was it? I don't know. I don't remember which comedian made that joke, but it just stuck in my mind. That digital watch was fantastic, except for one thing. Two things. Number one, the battery would last approximately 1 month.
I've got one, but go ahead. Keep going.
And the second thing is, within 6 months, one or two segments of one of the LEDs would always burn out. Always.
You know what my problem with them was?
What's that?
I would do a lot of driving, and when I would get out of the car, I'd open the door, and for some reason there'd be static discharge, and it would kill my watch.
Ooh.
No matter what. I lost so many watches that way.
Oh man, I thank God I never had that problem, but wow.
And I don't know why. Just me, maybe.
No, I get static on occasion. I get static electricity if the conditions are right when I hit the door. And oh my God, if that would have happened to me, luckily I wasn't driving back when I was had digital watches. I didn't start driving till 16, and that was 81.
Yeah. This was late 70s,
70s, yep,
80s,
yep,
80s.
70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And and then they have on this list here, they have the Speak and Spell, but we'll talk about that when we talk about toys. That's next week. How about the Dustbuster?
Yeah,
you remember when the Dustbuster came out?
Yes. Wow, I didn't realize it.
The Black and Decker Dustbuster was it's 79. The Black and Decker Dustbuster, that was just a craze. We had two of them, and one was on each wall. The batteries would never. Just even now, the Dustbusters nowadays, the batteries, if you don't keep them charged, they die. They last a little longer now, but you got to keep that thing constantly charged. It's a small battery powering a big motor, so it's gonna drain everything. So, but I'll tell you, the Dustbuster, was another great thing. Now, one of the things that I loved having in the 70s was the cassette recorder, portable cassette recorder.
Yes.
Cassette recorders came out late 60s, 70s, probably 70s, because before the cassette recorder, easily in the 60s, that was it was still reel to reel. Hey, Marvin, how's it going?
Hello, Mervin. How are you?
So I remember I had my share of cassette tape recorders, and I'll never forget the first time I recorded my voice on a cassette recorder and then played it back. How many of you guys have experienced this? Playing your voice on a cassette recorder, you go, that doesn't sound like me.
Yeah.
Because it's not resonating from the inside of my skull. It's how other people hear me.
Right.
And it was the funniest thing because for years, and then after recording myself so long, I got used to the sound of my own voice. And I knew what I sounded like, but very young in life. And then there were a lot of friends of mine who the first time they heard their voices, they go, "Who's that?" Well, that's you. And it's so funny explaining to them each time because I'm telling you, it was.
And the response is, "No, that's not me.
That's not me." That's what they always would say. Let's see. They have the Timex Sinclair on here, but that's a computer. We've discussed those. We've had the Corgi Disco Roadshow. I don't even remember that one. Omnibot 2000. That's a toy. They had laser tag. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yes, I actually played laser tag. It was in the
70s. They had the cheesy
early 80s. Early 80s.
Oh, okay.
There was actually I don't know, like a mall area that had, and I'm closing my eyes to try to think about it, that had black lights and different colored lights and poles and places where you could run up and stuff, and they had these badges or these what do you call them? Not chess pieces, but
the vests, chess pieces.
Vests with a sensor on them, and of course, when the other person would aim the gun at you,
the people would be like this to try to cheat. Okay, we were talking earlier about the tube TV, that TR-001.
Yes, and I have
how about? And I had one of these, and it was really cool, and it was also a tube TV, the Sony Watchman. Because we had, the Sony Walkman, but this was called the Sony Watchman.
Yes.
And the Sony Watchman get this, it was an innovative design, because on that Panasonic that we were talking about, it was basically, imagine a 3x3 box, very long, and there's basically most of it is a tube. So at the end of the box, that's where you see the TV. Okay, and it's black and white. The Sony Watchman was in color, and it was still a tube, but you would see it from the front. So imagine, if you will, you know, this one was from the side. This one, you're looking at it from the front. And how did they accomplish that? Behind the speaker here, they stuck the tube aiming this way, and you had, at a 45-degree angle, you had a mirror. A prism, yeah, a mirror aiming out. So the actual image in there was inverted and would show to you. I mean, if you pull up a picture of the Sony Watchman, the early Watchmans, it was incredibly interesting, you know. And I believe it was black and white also. Yeah, color didn't come till much later.
Well, I do know that the SX64 had a color display on it, a little 4-inch color display, CRT. That was the Commodore 64, which was really neat. But man, it's hard looking at that little screen.
Oh, and the of course, now we get to your calculator watch. I remember those cheesy little buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Those buttons are the same buttons that they use on remote controls nowadays. You know, the magnetic, those rubbery buttons that they use on the cheap remote. Yeah, those right there.
Like
except really small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's some really small ones, like right there and right there. You know.
Yeah. Yep. That was incredible. Let's see, what other interesting things do we have here? Oh, how about this? Because I just saw Phono Viewer. How about the what was that? It's a famous name. It's a record player. The portable record player. What was it called? I think it's from Play School or Fisher Price or what. It's
the little plastic one that was like real rinky dink.
The one that you open the lid, and you can actually put 45s in there and close the lid, but you can't close the lid if you had a 33 in there. A long play record player. It was a record player. It was a portable record player, and it was very popular. Hang on a second. Let me see what. Record player. Let's see. It was my God, I see a whole bunch of them here, but this is not the one. They still got them here. Laugh and Learn, that's not it. Portable, come on. There was a name for it. It was really cool. Okay, let's try classic portable record player.
I remember record players were unique then too, because they'd come in these bubbles with a stand and stuff. They made them look really futuristic and such.
Yep. Man, it's like I see so many different styles, but I think it was the Fisher Price music box was different. That's not the same thing. They play plastic records with grooves on them. That's not what I'm thinking of.
Talk about plastic records with grooves on them. Remember in the 70's and 80's, you used to get cereal boxes with plastic records in them that you could actually play. Remember that?
Oh yes.
That's definitely a thing of
you know what? It's just called a vintage Fisher Price record player. I thought they had a name. Radio Shack has one. I'm looking at images, and I'm looking at all the portable record players. Ah, there it is. It's from Kenner. The Close and Play.
The Close and Play.
That's what it's called. Yes, because now I'm remembering. Oh wow. Talk about synapses just being connected in my head, because they have all different types of portable record players that just has a lid. This was the Close and Play from Kenner, which had the needle on the lid. So you could actually close the record player. It would start the record when you close the record player. You can't choose where to put it. You would have to start from the beginning. and it has a spring every time you lift it up, and it was the close and play. That was it. That was it. Yeah.
72.
72, and then Radio Shack.
Red.
Radio Shack had a portable phonograph. That was also a popular.
Actually,
one.
they made them in blue too.
Oh yeah, all different colors. Oh yeah. I see the red one.
Yeah, and I also did see a blue one too, by the way.
Ah, interesting.
But
close and play.
First record. No, that's different. Antique Radio Forums, new topic, share. What is that? Isn't that a Kenner Close and Play 67? 67. Wow. The blue one is the one I'm looking at from 67.
Yeah. Let's see, retro to go. Holy, there's a lot of and there's a lot of old record players, obviously, but some vintage ones too. But incredible.
I want to ask Mervyn, do you have a record player still, Mervyn?
I do.
How about you, Hobby?
Yes, I do.
I mean, I do.
I have two. I have two turntables. I can't call them record players because they're turntables, but they play records, and they're just line out. So I got to have an amplifier or connected to something.
I even have records.
Yep. So do I, and they're in the warehouse. But yeah. Oh my God, there's just so much. All right, so that was an interesting flashback there. That record player. How about this? Thinking of the record player, because this record player was called the Phono Viewer. This one that I saw on this one page, which I've never heard of. But speaking of view, how about Viewmaster?
Oh yes, the little box that you would put your eyes in. There'd be a little disc that you would slide in, and it had little pictures and click. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And it was 16 pictures all around.
Mm-hmm.
They were on opposite sides of each other. They because it was stereoscopic, and it was 8. I think it was 8. It might have been more. I mean, let me see. Well, and that's what Google's here for. How many pictures?
16 sounds right.
In a Viewmaster. A Viewmaster has 14 film transparencies in 7 pairs.
So 14 times 7?
No, 7 pairs. So only 7. So it's only 7. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
The technology, and I don't know which one led to it first, but those the slides, the photo slides that were this little square deal, they were similar. Of course, it was just a slide that you projected through.
Oh yeah. It's basically the same thing. I mean, Viewmasters, all they were is just miniaturized slides. And it was fantastic. Let's see, what else did we have here? Okay, so let me move on to another one here. And
does microfiche kind of, or microfilm kind of fall in that same category?
I don't know, because that microfiche, from what I understand, is a lot older than that. It's because I mean, libraries have had microfiche since 50s and 60s. I mean, that's photographic technology. So
yeah, it is.
So let's see, floppy disk. I'll skip that. Portable cassette player. I'm very fond of that. And do you remember on the portable cassette players, they had the 1/8 inch, and right next to it, the 32nd inch plug. The dual plug.
Oh yeah, the one for a regular microphone and the one for the normal microphone. Yeah,
it was this audio, and it was the on-off button.
Oh, you're talking about the on-off. I got you.
I'm talking about the audio. Yeah, it had 2 plugs.
Yeah, and the plug was actually square.
And if you had a mic, a corded mic, we're talking. There was no cordless back then.
Yes,
a corded mic. And it was so cool. It was so cool. Let me see what else we got here.
Yeah, I think we talked about that specific configuration on one of the past podcasts.
Well, how about in 1983? We're talking the cell phone, the brick, the Motorola TAC.
The bag. one in the bag.
the Dynatac 8000. Yeah, that the brick. Yeah.
I actually knew a guy that worked for AT&T back then that had one of those, and actually he had one installed in his truck, and it was a satellite radio.
I've seen though. I had my neighbor in the front. My best friend's dad worked for Eveready Pest Control. It was a very large owned Eveready Pest Control. It was a large pest control company, mostly commercial, and I remember he had one of those suitcase cell phones in his car that would connect up in his car. It had to be powered, but my dad ended up buying, and I mentioned this story before. My dad bought a brick phone, one of the first ones that came out, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing. That I'm going to him, Dad, how could you spend, that's ridiculous, 90 cents a minute. 90 cents a minute. That's you're out of your mind.
And back then
it was 90 cents a minute for cellular, and he explained it to me this way. He goes to me, son, I have at least 3 construction sites that I'm running at the same time. Back then, big commercial sites and stuff. He owned a construction company, owns, I should say. He's doing roofs now mostly, but 57 years he's still an active general contractor. Well, the way he explained it to me is he's got problems he's got to solve. They got to get a hold of him. He can't stop on the side of the road and pay a quarter or 10 cents. Well, it was a quarter back then to make a phone call, and everybody has to know how to get a hold of him, because if there's a problem,
10 cents back then.
If there's a problem, the job gets delayed. If the job gets delayed, it'll cost him $1,000 a day when it goes past the thing. So when you're working in terms of hundreds and tens and thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars, then $90 and 90 cents a minute is nothing. And, I never understood that, because I was just a high school kid. What did I know? But let's see, the VCR, we mentioned that. And
Bell pushes 25 cents as nationwide payphone rate in 1981.
81. Yeah.
Requests from Bell to raise coins 25 cents are pending in 15 jurisdictions.
Incredible. Yeah, I remember when digital. It's so funny, because I remember when digital watches went LCD, and one of the watches that, and I know Matt Haas shares this with me. One of the things that I have always loved, and I've got 3 of them somewhere sitting in a drawer. I just, I'd rather use my Fitbit. I used to have an Apple Watch, but this is cheaper and more reliable. So, G-Shock, my Casio G-Shocks. I love my Casio G-Shocks. And Matt is a huge fan of the Casio G-Shock.
I stopped wearing a phone. I mean, a watch when I got a phone. I mean, that's pretty much it. My car had a phone.
A lot of people a clock. The watches died in 2000 when beepers and phones started syncing up and having the time. That's when it stopped. Exactly. And I know, because I wore a G-Shock for quite a while after, but as soon as the full screen cell phones came out, forget it. At that point, there's no point, because you always have the thing with you. You don't have to, it's. But now I really enjoy this this thing, because it tells me my messages and this and that. So it's kind of a portable version.
Yeah. And now they've got some phones. Some watches that are actually interfaced to your phone. Yeah. And you get your text messages on there.
That's what I was saying. This one gets my text messages. I get my. When I had the Apple Watch, I would actually talk with the Apple Watch. I'd make phone calls with it, but the technology's not great in that. It's not.
I could probably read your floppy disks, Chris. He's asking that question. I've been meaning to go through all my old computer stuff and see
I got a couple 5 1/4. Of course, they're in the warehouse, but I got a couple of 5 1/4 drives. In fact, I got somewhere along here, I got an old computer that that has a. Oh no, it's in the other room. But yeah, I've got floppy disks. Well, wait a second. 5 1/4 or 3 1/2? Because
yeah, and which format? And which format?
Yeah, because technically, even though I don't agree, 3 1/2 is a floppy disk. Also, that I got somewhere around here. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I used to sell computers in the 80s, and I remember when we went from 5 1/4 and didn't really put them in anymore, started putting in 3 1/2s, and then 3 1/2s kind of went away, and then the CDs were in there, and guess what? The CDs are gone now too, or DVDs or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep. They actually have. You can buy on Amazon. You can buy for $16. You can buy an external USB floppy drive, 3 1/2-inch floppy drive reader.
Yes, exactly.
Which is incredible. And let me see something here. 5
tape backups. Tape backups. I probably have a tape deck that I used for backups that used these tapes. I'm trying to think. This was probably
Wait a second.
Late 80s.
Did you say not that tape deck?
Right. Tape backup. Yeah.
Tape backup. Yeah. The DAT tapes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got something like that laying around. I love those. Those are great for backup. It's just nowadays you buy a hard drive and you put it someplace because that's the cheapest and most practical route.
Even that's going by the wayside with all this, like with Google Drive and
cloud technology. Absolutely.
And Apple Drive. Yeah,
I'm still a little paranoid, and I want to have it myself. Never know, whatever. But
multiple places. That's the
key. That's the key. Game Boy. You ever have a Game Boy?
Yes. In fact, still have a Game Boy somewhere here. I don't know where it's at.
What kind of old technology do I got lying around here? I had something around here. Hang on, let me see.
I just saw it the other day too. If this place was organized, it would be dangerous. It's probably behind the
look what I found.
Oh, is that a first generation iPod?
That is it's a 60 gig. It's like a second generation, I think. It might be first. I don't know. I gotta charge it up and see how much what songs I got on it. 60 gigs. I got tons of songs on there. I don't know what I got on there, but yeah, that's some good stuff. And obviously the Nintendo 64. There's another one. The Sony Walkman we mentioned. Oh man, I completely forgot about Sharp and PC. Let's see here. What do you got there? Because I don't see it with the with the screen. This right here. I guess you can see it there, right? Yes, somewhat. What is it?
This is a terabyte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1,024. No, it's a gigabyte. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that doesn't look like new technology.
No, not a terabyte. 1,024 megabytes. This is a mobile blue cube, and what this is a player, an MP3 player. That this was back from. I have to say this is probably 2000s. I'm going to say 2000s. It's not much older than that. Sorry, folks.
Casio Databank. There's another one I had. That was the calculator watch that I had. One of them. Hey, Polaroid. Remember Polaroid land cameras? Polaroid One Step. I had the Zip camera, the Polaroid Zip. Oh, I remember that so well. But the Polaroid Sun, which was so cool and so innovative, it was the one that had that silver disc that had a radar. It was the first autofocus.
Yes.
And it was
exactly,
like it used sound, not infrared, not lasers, sound. You know, that was incredible. You know, Polaroid. Oh my God, that's it's. I remember. It's so funny because in the 2000s, you can still let me check if you can or not. Hang on a second.
See you later, Mervin. Sure, Chris.
Have a good one, Mervin.
That'll give me some incentive to power up my AMD 5X86. Don't even know if that even runs anymore. I need to actually go through my tech and figure out what's broken and what's not.
You can still buy Polaroid 600 film. Believe it or not.
Well, if you have the camera now, is that the one that comes out and you is that the one that just comes out as
you can also buy 35mm film,
or the one that you peel off?
That's the one that the 600 is the one that comes out.
Okay,
but they do have the one that you peel off. Well, no, I don't know if they have that anymore. That's a good question.
Because I had one of those cameras still. Actually, one that I had in the 70's. When I participated with the class paper, and it's got a nice little bellows on it and such, but it has the paper that you would tear off. It would come out, you would tear it off, and then you would take and put
that's what my Polaroid Zip had.
Some clear lacquer.
Here we go. Oh no, it says zinc. It doesn't say zip.
Clear lacquer, just something clear. I don't remember what it actually was.
Oh my God! They renamed they have a new Polaroid Zip. It's called a Polaroid Zip printer. So I have no idea. The old Zip camera was fantastic. It's just, oh man, they don't have that anymore. But
when you say that, it makes me flash back to the Zip drive, which was
kind of the 100 meg Zip drive. I love that.
Yes, like a Bernoulli
laying around. Yep.
It was a hard drive that would hold 100 megs. Ooh. and those things specifically suffered from the click of death. Click, click,
yes.
Click, click, click.
How about, do you remember the, speaking of cell phones, the MicroTac? Oh, I love the MicroTac. That was the one that resembled, that was the flip phone.
That was
the MicroTac was the flip phone. It was the best. I loved that I just love that phone. I wish they bring it back just to well, they will eventually, because everything old is new again. Let's see here.
That's why they have the communicators in Star Trek that flip up.
Yeah.
No, wait a second. I'm going into a time loop paradox now.
They had those first. They had the Star Trek came up with them first.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm going into a time loop paradox.
Yep. Which is so cool. Let's see here. So
but if it's supposed to be the future, and we're in the past.
Yep. How about, let's see what else we got here. Well, I guess that's pretty much. Let me see. What time? What are we on time? We got 5 minutes. We can put a little something through here. Let's see. Favorite tech gadgets from the 80s. Let's see if they have anything that we haven't talked about here. Macintosh. It's a computer. Casio calculator. What? Here's one. 1984. Clap on. Clap off. Clap on, clap off, the clapper.
The clapper. Oh,
do you
remember? The lapper, actually.
No, the clapper. Lapper is a different thing.
Actually, that's what I'm looking. I'm looking at the lapper.
You're looking at the lapper, which is like a
plugged into the wall.
Yeah, the clapper would plug in. It was one of those first remote controls, and you drop your keys, and it would turn on your lights because it's any high pitched sound.
If a loud noise like a dog bark. It would activate it.
And Audio Technica actually sold this sound burger. It's called a sound burger. And what it was a record player this big. The needle would come out of it, and you open it up like a sandwich, like a burger, and you place it on an LP and set it on your desk, and it would play. It was just, Sun camera. Oh, hey, Armatron.
Yes.
Oh, I completely forgot about Armatron. Radio Shack sold this robot, this one-arm robot, gray robot called Armatron, and it wasn't programmable or anything. You'd have 2 joysticks, and you could rotate it. You could turn it this way. You could open and close, and you can go up and down. It was basically like driving a backhoe with a claw at the end. But it was the Radio Shack Armatron. I mean, I worked at Radio Shack at that time, and we always sold out of those things. Oh, the Yamaha DX7. I think I actually have a Yamaha DX7 laying around somewhere. Synthesizer. Let's see what other. Oh, Simon. 1980.
Yeah, you did skip over Simon, and you also skipped over something else. But go ahead and talk about Simon.
Well, Simon's was it was one heck of an interesting exercise in fads, because in popularity, because Simon, it was a great toy. I'll give you that. But it got so popular. All the kids, oh, how many can you do? I can do 27, and and pretty soon, and let me tell you, Simon, first it was beep, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, beep, bop, beep, 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 and then when you're into the 20s, it's like beep, bop, beep, 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 beep. It's right. It's flying. You go, you got that stupid buzz.
That game, I've seen that game in so many different iterations, so many different ways. It's the same thing.
Yep.
There's a common game programming site called Roblox here in the future, or in present time, I should say.
Right.
And basically, you move around a room. Depending on what the color is, you move to the next part of the room. And anyway, again, there's the Simon color scheme is there at play. Yeah. Simon was something else. I've seen little ones, big ones, electronic ones, or computerized ones. There is one thing, and you skipped it, but I'm gonna force it. I'm gonna bring it up. The boombox. The boombox. Being a Star Trek fan, being Star Trek 4, there's a classic scene in a bus on Star Trek 4.
Oh, that's a great scene.
They've got a boombox. And we had boomboxes, and I mean boomboxes were like a status symbol, of being cool.
Yes. Absolutely. And I hate you, and I berate you. I still remember the song. Yeah. Oh my God. How about and maybe we'll end on this one because it's about that time. Electric typewriters. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know typewriters were
electric.
But the Selectric one, when the ball came out, the daisy wheel. I mean, basically it was just
in the late 90s. I had my own business doing repair work, and I stumbled on to 200 Selectrics and various other electronic typewriters, but Selectric 1s and Selectric 2s, and my job was to clean them and make them function. And after a while, they get gummy and sticky and stuff. Yeah. But it was really neat. Irony being, in late 70s, early 80s, IBM offered me a job in the Midland, Odessa area working on typewriters. And I said, no, I want to work on computers. I don't want to work on typewriters. So I would have been part of the typewriter division, which actually went away. But the IBM Selectric, I ended up working on them later. And then I ended up going back to work at IBM later on as a computer tech, which is kind of, in my own mind, weird, because I turned down the job back in the 70s and then ended up working on them, and then ended up going back to the first thing that I want to do for them anyway.
When did overhead projectors? I guess that's more 60s.
You mean the ones that you place the cellophane on and you would
Yes.
write and stuff?
Yes.
I don't know, but we were still using them at the college that I work at, still in the year 2000s. And what we were doing is trying to convert people, and it's a joke between this one lady and myself about she would want to use her overhead projector, but we were going to smart symposium setups that had electronic projectors in the computer and stuff, and touch tablets and such. But they've been around, I would say, probably since the 60s, maybe even the 50s.
Yeah. I would guess
maybe
that.
not the 50s, but
I would guess that as well. Well, anyways, folks, we've reached the 11 o'clock hour, so you guys have a wonderful evening. Soon I'll be changing the name of the channel, just your upcoming information. I'll be changing the name of the channel to Javi Unboxed. So look for that when you see it's the same channel, same well, it might be a different link, but whatever, you'll get the notifications. And I will be doing a lot more homesteading. I'll be out for the next 2 weeks because I'll be at the homestead, and I'll keep you guys informed. And as always, see you all sometime soon. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Live long and prosper. Good night, everyone.
Peace and long life, folks.